Hello, everybody. Welcome back to yet another concert review. This has been a great year for me for concerts. Been a bunch of good ones. I've still got about 3 or 4 lined up for now. Hopefully, adding a couple more to the docket soon. But today, I want to talk about a concert that I attended yesterday, uh, the 11th of July, at the TING Pavillion in Charlottesville, Virginia, which is about 2 hours northeast of me. So, if you recall, I did a concert review about the Wood Brothers and Shovels and Rope, who I saw there uh, in June. So, this is my second time seeing the Head and the Heart in less than a year. Uh, if you don't know the Head and the Heart, they are an indie folk band based out of Seattle, Washington. Though two members of the group, Tyler Williams, the drummer, and Jonathan Russell, the lead singer, have roots in the Richmond area of Virginia. So, kind of a hometown show for them. Richmond's about an hour from Charlottesville. So, it's always cool to see them in Virginia. And again, only my second time seeing them. Currently, they are on tour promoting their most recent album, which is now about a year old. This is Every Shade of Blue. A really great record. It's a little long. It's definitely not an album that I would recommend new fans of the group to get into. You can see the standard track listing goes to side C, and then side D is 3 bonus cuts exclusive to vinyl. But even without those bonus cuts, the album clocks in at just under an hour. But great stuff on here. Very poppy. This one is very poppy oriented, like, again, more indie pop than folk. They've kind of turned that direction since their third album called Signs of Light. And I've kind of stuck to that for a little bit. Who knows where they'll head. But yeah, so again, I saw them in September last year. I was quite under the weather during that show. I was going through a lot of personal stuff. And in addition to that, I was in the early stages of strep, though I did not know it at the time. So it was a great show, but I was not as energetic as I was at this show, which just was a completely different type of show. So the Ting Pavilion, it's an outdoor amphitheater. So you are dealing with July heat here in Virginia, clocking in, high 80s, low 90s. But it was actually quite comfortable. It was never like sweltering where I was just like sluggish. So I left work and drove the just about 2 hour drive from my office to the venue, and got there. I had a general admission ticket, and they gave me a wristband to enter the general admission area, and there was a spot on the railing at the stage. So I booked it down there. I knew I was going to be in for a long night. The show had 3 openers, unfortunately. Nothing against the openers. Do Eyes was the first, Landon Elliott was the second, and then Illiterate Light was the third, all of whom are Virginia-based bands or solo artists. So I knew I was going to be in for a long time. Based on the schedule, it was saying the first act was coming out at 7, and then the Head and the Heart were supposed to be finishing around 11 o'clock. So I stayed put for 4 hours at the gate, but it was never overcrowded. Really, really, well maintained at the venue. But anyway, I'm on the front row. The first act plays for about 20 minutes. It was fine. It was a lady about my age, and a keyboard player, kind of alternative folk. It wasn't like Brandy Carlisle or Joni Mitchell or anything like that. It was a little bit more alternative. The keyboard player actually played some sax, some kind of Coltrane type runs. So it was kind of like a mix of that kind of thing. The second one was Landon Elliott, who is from Richmond. I saw him. He actually opened for the Head and the Heart. He was the first of 2 openers for them back in September. So I'd seen him before. Very good. He was just him and the electric guitar. He played about 35 minutes. He ended with a great cover of Both Sides Now by Joni Mitchell, which was pretty cool. And then the last opener, called Illiterate Light, out of Harrisonburg, Virginia, which is the same Harrisonburg that brought you Old Crow Medicine Show. Again, another duo, a drummer and a keyboard player. Very, very, very alternative. Very loud, very garagey. Definitely not an opener for a Head in the Heart crowd. Plus, I've told several people this already. They were the loudest 45 minutes of music that I've ever heard in my life, bar none. Um, they, from what I understand, from some reading, they've tried to do a lot of stuff energy efficiently. Um, some of which involves, a bike generator where like they'll have fans bike to produce their electricity, and the faster they pedal, the louder they get. I don't think that was the case last night. It was just an incredibly loud 45 minutes of alternative music that, frankly, all sounded quite similar. But if you're interested, illiterate light, they um, they were loud. They were very loud. Like I was sitting like this the whole time, like a grumpy old man in the front row, as you would guess based on my personality. So anyway, Head and the Heart come out. They open with a song called "Living Mirage" off of the album of the same title as their fourth album. I had not heard them do that live. Um, they also did one from Signs of Light called "The Dreamer," which is also another one that I've not heard them do live. But unlike their last show in Richmond, which had over half of this album played, they only did about 4 songs from this. They did the title track called "Every Shade of Blue," um, "Tiebreaker," um, "Virginia Wind in the Night," and um, "Don't Show Your Weakness." So they did 4 tracks from this. They did 16 songs total. So they did about 4 from. They did 4 from this album. They did about 3 from their second album, "Let's Be Still." Um, just a really, really great. And again, the Head and the Heart, indie folk band. So like their first 2 albums are very acoustic based, harmony, kind of like Mumford and Sons' first couple of albums, or the Lumineers, and then they kind of branched out into the more pop realm. But some great highlights, one of which was the song "Virginia Wind in the Night," which of course played in Virginia, is fantastic, sung by a mostly Virginia native. Really, really cool. That song closed out the set before the encore. Uh, Another one on here called "Don't Show Your Weakness." It's a great song. It really has grown on me since purchasing this album. It was kind of a sleeper song at first, but it's really grown. "Every Shade of Blue" is kind of a mellow, a little bit like orchestral kind of pop. Um, then they also did, songs from the first album. They did the song "Ghosts." They did uh, "Down in the Valley," which is always a crowd pleaser. That's been in a couple of commercials, I think. They did. They obviously closed with "Rivers and Roads" from that album, which has been in several shows and movies. It's kind of like a rom-com kind of. It's a song used often in like rom-coms and that sort of thing. Um, that's always a big crowd. It's kind of like a drinking song, like "Rivers and roads, rivers and roads, rivers till I reach you." Just one of those songs. And like, I had 2 girls that were standing next to me that were like swaying back and forth. So that was very cool to just to see that as a crowd. And they did "Lost in My Mind" it's a big song from the first album where the one of the singers named Matty Gervais from the Head and the Heart, he comes out kind of to the front of the stage with a microphone and like holds it as like a boom over the audience and like encourages us to sing louder. And at one point during a song called "Misconnection," which received a lot of airplay on Sirius XM's The Spectrum, channel 28, which is, you can hear a lot of Head and the Heart on the Spectrum on channel 28. And Maddie actually came down to the front where the guardrail was and walked along the whole rail and was like dapping and shaking people's hands. Like I got to shake his hand, which was really cool because he does my favorite song on this album, which is "Don't Show Your Weakness." He sings the lead, which was the second song of the night. Then again, they also did, songs like "Another Story" from "Let's Be Still." They did "Honeybee" from "Living Mirage," which was a very special song to me. Just from somebody that that I've known for a while. That was a very special song. And so there's just, there's a lot of kind of like that emotional pull during the show. And they're one of those bands, they have introspective lyrics, very much a sing in the car with the windows down kind of band, especially the first 2 albums. But I've really liked the album "Living Mirage," their third one, their fourth one, excuse me. I mean, really, all their albums are very good, but I'm just a mega fan of them. And I was, wearing the shirt, you know, making looks at Maddie up on the stage. He was like pointing and that sort of thing, like acknowledging the crowd. So he gave me a few looks, which was really cool. Just a really great time. Again, the only downside was probably illiterate light, which really was loud in the ears. But other than that, great show. I hope to see him again. They've quickly become definitely a top 10 band, possibly creeping into top 5 territory. So we shall see. I'm looking forward to what they have next. I know they've been recording, and again, they're kind of they kind of follow their own trail, which I like. So let me know what you think about the Head and the Heart. Let me know if you were at the show. Subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Go buy the Head and the Heart, and we'll talk to you soon. Be good and take care.